So, in terms of politics and governments, I think we got to keep the changes as simple as we can. I think it was Einstein that said, make everything as simple as possible, but not simpler. So, in the places where we can simplify things, I think we should and keep them as simple as possible. That's where like taking the lobby money, giving it back to the communities instead of the politicians. Simple, effective. Uh, you know, Voting for the people in our communities we actually know to be good people, nominating them, forcing them to go. Simple, effective. A website for all candidates to get equal media presence. Maybe produce more parties along the way. Simple, I think effective. I think another simple, effective rule for uh, right now with these taxes. I love all the taxation is theft. It's kind of true at this point, and they're just squandering money on ridiculous things. It's not like infrastructure is being improved. It's not like our homeless situation is actually ever improving. It's like these guys who run the homeless shelter are driving around in benzos and living amazing lifestyle, six-figure salaries. Uh, you know, I did hear a good solution for payment, like by percentage. A CEO can only be paid a certain percentage above the lowest employee's salary. So it incentivizes CEOs to increase salaries. It's good. In the end, it all comes down to the all the salaries are from the shareholders. And so the profits, the CEO figures out the way to increase the profits, to increase the value of the shares for the shareholders. So it's tricky ground, but I do think they need to be linked to some degree. Maybe that's a good fix. But this one is just about in taxes in terms of every homeowner should not have to pay a homeowner's tax of their first home. So we have so many people that don't even have a home or they have one home. They get hit with hard taxes, especially with property tax can rise with the value of the house. So market skyrockets. All of a sudden, their property tax becomes more. Their neighborhood gets gentrified. Property tax is heavier. Especially old people that own homes. Property taxes go up. They suffer a lot. They're normally on pensions or living meagerly. So, but I think I when I was young, I inherited some money. My biological grandpa passed away, and when I turned 18, I got a few grand, 5 grand or something. And one of the first things I did with it, I went and bought camping gear. But I was looking at land. I'm a firm believer it should be land. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness is really it kind of give a little summation of John Locke. It was life, liberty, and the pursuit of land. And so land is a beautiful thing to own. There were acres on the backside of Maui, like jungle, completely off grid, jungle. Nobody was touching them for $500 an acre. 30 years ago, 28 years ago, something like that. And now look at Oprah, they're killing people. It looks like they shot lasers at people supposedly to take all this land in Maui. But I was going to buy it. So my goal was I was going to go buy 2 acres, spend $1,000, fly out, cultivate 1 acre, like with fruit, just grow every kind of fruit I can, live on an acre, maybe a half acre, cultivate the rest, and then fish. And just like surf and fish all the time and sell my fish and my fruit in the market and just live off the land. You could do it in Hawaii like that. And I had a water filter, I had all my gear. I was like, dude, I got this. And somebody's like, it's a great idea, but it'll never work because what's going to happen is you're going to have property tax. And unless you sell enough fish and produce, and I didn't know yet, I was 18 at the time, you sell enough fish and produce to pay your property taxes, So you can survive, but then my goal was to keep the land until the big resorts, which will eventually, right, catch up to me, want to come and they'll give me $1 million for the land or whatever, cut me a big paycheck, $500,000 or something like that, $100,000 for this land I paid $1,000 for. I was like, it's awesome. I live in the jungles of Hawaii and fish and eat fruit for X amount of years, 20 years, 30 years. And then when I get older, they'll catch up and they'll offer me a nice chunk and I'll go retire somewhere else. And, but they like, once the hotels get to you, the property value goes up so much that the property tax now is way higher. You probably won't be able to afford it and they'll just tax you out. So you once you stop being able to pay your property tax, you're screwed, and they're gonna go. So it's like you don't even own land in Hawaii, in America, to a certain degree. It's like you rent it still. No matter what, you still kind of rent because you have to pay these property taxes. And so I think it's super un-American. I don't think we should have any property tax on your primary residence. So there's like people don't even have homes, and there's people that have like 5 homes. You go live in Tahoe, people have a ton of homes. Half the houses in South Lake Tahoe aren't, the snowboarders and the kids that like work and live there hate it. They're like, maybe more than half are, nobody lives in them. Some get rented out during, like Airbnbs during the season, vacation rentals, even before Airbnb existed, for skiing. And then some are like snowbirds, old people that come in seasonally and leave. They're secondary homes, right? Vacation homes like that. But it's so hard to find an apartment for a lot of the people that live there. And the kids who want to just work and snowboard or whatever, the people who actually keep Tahoe running, run the lifts and the bars and restaurants and everything else. When there's tons of empty houses, you go to neighborhoods and it's like the vast majority. And I lived in one of these neighborhoods where it's like 20 houses on the street, maybe 15. 2 of them were filled, and one partly. It was like me and the neighbors across the street, and then these neighbors down were there like 6 to 8 months out of the year, and were gone a lot of the time. And the rest were empty. A couple of them got rented out occasionally by Airbnb. Oh, no, excuse me. There was 3. Actually, on the far corner, there was a bunch of kids that lived there. And that was it. It was like 3 people on a huge block. And the rest were just these huge, beautiful houses that some of them were huge. And some were just like cabiny or whatever. But nobody living in them. Nobody. It's like a ghost town. And ridiculous. So I think, one, we shouldn't have a primary property tax. I think we should make up for it by increasing secondary to a little bit more. So if you own a second home, you pay a higher property tax than you would already just paying for the property tax as it is, like the same for each house. And then every house after that increases property tax much more. So there's a market level of what the actual property tax is dependent on the value. And then if it's your secondary home, maybe you pay twice that. And, or, a time and a half, let's say. So we'll cut out primary, make it, 150% or extra 50%. And then the second one's like 100% though. You pay double what the normal property tax would be for your secondary. If it was your primary, as it is now, it would be double that. And then each time like that. So you increase every home you own. So right now people own all these houses. It's great that people own a lot of properties. I'm not saying that some are in real estate, some rent them. I know business people and people own a lot of real estate. I hate this idea. How dare you? I work so hard to get these properties and I should have them. Well, it's hard for people who want to break into the housing market and want to buy a house and they can't. Banks end up liking to own. And I think if private institutions like banks own them, property tax should be just killer. It should just be crushing because homes are for people, and it's great you want to rent it out. So if it's something you're making money off of, it's your tertiary property, then or you're just occasionally going there, then you can pay a little more, because you're making money off of it anyway. Pay your mortgage, you pay rent, whatever, and maybe you don't buy as many properties. Maybe somebody can go in and buy a property. Banks can't own so many properties. This thing with BlackRock buying properties, nightmare. That, I think, is the most evil. BlackRock, I would invest in it, in their mutual index or whatever, but it's just, I don't agree with what they do. I don't, especially with them owning now properties too. They already own like every corporation, the so many stocks and just about everything. The corporations are screwing their workers time and time again. Now they're going to take over the housing market. It's really like enslaving humanity. And it's unacceptable. And I'm telling you, it's never going to last. Rich people, man, you guys are always complaining about something, and you're the ones doing it all, creating all the pollution, screwing up the inflation, the housing crisis. It's like you're doing it all. I don't understand how anyone else is responsible. Carbon tax, 80% of the pollution is from you guys, and then somehow the working people who have to work in these horrible jobs for a terrible wage. They can't live in a house, they live in an apartment because you guys are buying it up. Have to pay for what you're destroying. All the mess you're making is now somehow their problem. It's so ridiculous. Like, morality has just gone out the window. So that's my idea. Basically, long story short, eliminate property taxes on a primary residence, and then exponentially raise the property taxes on every house you purchase after that. So, and de-incentivizes owning 30 properties. Maybe not. I mean, we try to be reasonable, work with it. You shouldn't be necessarily penalized, but you should be paying your fair share. And people, we have to let families get ahead. This all goes back to morality. That, like, your wealth is important, but so is the well-being of families, even more so. You have to let other people, like, rise up too. Right? It's great to be rich, that you've lifted yourself up into a place of wealth, but it loses its shine and its sparkle when you have to suppress other people to keep it. Everyone should have the same opportunities. And right now, there's so many housing crises here and there, and people are having trouble finding a home. And other people own 3 of them. And a lot of them are just vacation. They're not even renting them out. They're vacation. Or like, I don't really agree with Airbnb. It's like middlemanning. I know it's like a hustle. And it's the same kids that like hate capitalism, and they're like, ooh, I just got an Airbnb, or I'm going to Airbnb my thing. And it's like, it's just a middleman. You're taking, especially the ones who like rent houses and Airbnb them out, or rent apartments. People are having trouble renting them. Okay, maybe, but a lot of them, it's like, this is a viable apartment. You rent it, and then you just charge people more so you can take a cut. And it's like, that's also what raises prices there. That's why houses are so expensive and everything starts going up in price, is not only eliminating houses from the market, but then you're renting them out on top of what they normally would fetch at a higher price for people to come rent for a week or a month or whatever, so you can take an extra cut and live like a fat cat. And it's moral capitalism. Can we just find some kind of moral balance? But eliminate property tax. That's my main. This is a complicated issue for the most part, but I think at the base level, at least, if nothing else, eliminate primary residence property tax. We can talk about how to deal with secondary and further real estate purchases and how to tax those appropriately. But primary residential property tax needs to be eliminated. That's it. I wish everyone the blessing of someday owning land. My only dream since I was like 18 is to own a piece of farmland and to cultivate it. And I tried my whole life. I finally, right before COVID, leased 5 acres for hopefully my daughter. I was going to get her pony. I got chickens though going, and I had 600 fruit trees and grapes, and I was growing ghost chilies and hot peppers and artichokes and all kinds of great stuff in my garden. And COVID hit, and I had nowhere to sell the fruit. No farmers markets. The restaurants weren't really buying it, and just brutal. It sunk me, and so. But it's always been my dream, just to own a nice piece of land. And I think property tax is ridiculous, but I think the whole real estate market needs a little bit of fine tuning. So anyway, that's just one of my theories. I wish everyone, though, the blessing of finding land or a house or whatever it is you want to do. For me, it's like say farming, and I would love to do like a self-sustaining, off-the-grid house. If I had $1 million, exactly a tiny home. There's so many awesome features, not just solar, but ways to heat the pipes from actually like a solar heater, and heat pipes, cool pipes with water, cool cabinets. You actually cool your entire house through cold water running underneath the like soapstone countertops. That's how they do it in like Scandinavia. I mean, if you really took all the different energy saving ideas and put them into a tiny home, you could run on fractions of energy, and it'd really be awesome. Do some off the grid living and farming and ranching. So, or people who want a family home and want to do like the big white picket fence and the whole thing, whatever it is, I wish everyone a piece of that. And everyone who wants it, I wish them all a little piece of that. And so they can taste that American dream of life, liberty, and the pursuit of land. And let's do this, people. Save the humans.
Trying to be a better man. Oh yeah. Trying to do the best I can. Oh yeah. And I'm gonna do right thing. Do right thing. No matter what they want to say. And I'm gonna still fight for you. Still fight for you.